Wait, what happened to the intro video? What is Adam doing?
You can still probably play
wop.
it.
Nice
Yeah, I know,
intro. Nice intro, you stupid fuck.
What kind of fucking bullshit is like?
Dude, he does this every week.
The bad news is that civilization is crumbling around you.
Wear a dog mask, cut your dick off, bomb Palestine.
The good news is that you are not alone.
There's butthole shaving videos.
Feel bad for the minorities in LA for having to deal with the white people in LA.
You have 5 till midnight, live every Monday at 8 p.m. where you join 5 Limp Bizkit Americans to laugh at the absurd nonsense of the end of history.
Shit show right there.
Sam, stop it!
All right, so I guess this is take 2, and today we have with us Josh Neal, who has been highly praised by a lot of people that have not only been on this show, but also I really, really like all the people. So, Josh,
is that a
what's going on,
Boonie
man?
cover?
Yeah.
Send in the Marines to LA. Josh, what's up, man?
Hey, folks, thanks for asking me on.
Of course,
Dude, you cannot be that professional here, especially not after the bullshit that I just did in the last 5 minutes. I said every single racial slur for white people that they had in the 20th century. I'm like a racist from 1922. Now, what is up? Polak, Josh and Neal, I'm assuming you're a heritage American. You're great. Polak, and WAP. Why are you guys here? Okay. I'll be right back.
You guys got to re-up. Get in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we might.
If I get to deploy to LA, I'm down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's where we're going with this.
Yeah, of course. Where do you think we were going with this?
No, it did click for me until he said something, and now it finally
Dude,
did.
I deputize me. I'm fucking there.
Yeah, you know what? I had
Yeah.
a friend of mine saying today, what did he say? Oh, people wouldn't do it for free. I'm like, maybe that's the edge case, but I don't know. I definitely think some people would be like, nah, dude, we're done. We're not putting.
I mean,
up
I
with
still
BS
want to get
from our
paid.
love anymore.
Still want to get paid.
Yeah, it'd be fun to be a mercenary in your own country. That'd be fucking sick.
Yeah.
I have all this training too that I don't get to use anymore. Let me fucking go to task on some fucking Mexicanos in LA.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you know, there's like these iconic photos of the year every single year. I think the photo of the year last year was the Trump assassination picture, and the photo
Yeah.
for this year, someone said it was the Mexican riding the dirt bike with waving the Mexican flag in California in front of all the burned down police cars.
Dude, let's be honest though, that's a pretty sick picture.
That is a sick picture. I don't want to admit it, but it is a sick picture. It's fucking super cool.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really funny too. It's like on a broom handle. It's like,
Oh yeah,
it's like
Well, he just got off
zoom in
his
on it.
job, so he had to attach it to something.
It's on a broom handle. It's zip tied to like it looks like a mop like handle. It's like, god damn, dude, they couldn't have found something better.
yeah. We would call that Afro engineering in a certain place, but I don't know if I should say that live. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's like a certain slur you could say for Mexicans in that respect. Oh man, everybody's all ready to go.
Yeah, we're ready to deploy.
We got 3 crayon eaters on the podcast, so you know, gotta represent from the halls of Montezuma, baby.
It's got my platoon number on the inside.
Oh, does it have your
Wow.
last name ironed on too?
It's not ironed on. It literally has pen where I wrote it in boot camp.
Nice.
I'm proud that you could write your own name, buddy. That's awesome.
Yeah, you know what? I'm really going to take criticism about writing from a fucking WAP. Let's see you construct a fucking grammatically correct sentence. Good Lord.
Yeah, nice
Can't even
camera.
put your camera
At least
on.
I can use my camera, you fucking queer.
Yeah. Anyways, so LA craziness. Josh, welcome to the show for the 4th time. How's this all going in your guys' head? What are we feeling right now?
Am I taking the lead on that?
Yeah, you
yeah,
should.
yeah.
You definitely should.
You should. Yeah, we're retarded. So you go ahead.
I don't want to be the party pooper and stifle all the enthusiasm. I've seen the footage, and I really don't feel anything at all. If anything, really, my attitude for since the very beginning of BLM, and maybe even before that, not that this is equivalent to BLM, was just that there's no turning back the clock. There's no bringing racial harmony back. Not that there ever was any. There's no maintaining law and order. A lot of the law and order institutions really seem hamstrung by I mean, a bunch of different factors. But that the photo of the guy like standing on top of the car or whatever, like did nothing to me. Did nothing for me. And I just, it's just reinforced the one kind of prevailing feeling I have about America these days, which is you got to get out of these places. Like there's nothing. I don't see anything worth fighting for. Not like I'm some kind of nihilist. I love America. I hate our government. You know, I love the American people. I hate what's been done to them. I guess I still have sympathy or like affiliation to like the folk culture of America and like what America has been and what it stands for. But where it's going, where it's been and where it's going, I feel no connection to. And I look at a lot of the posturing online from like Con Inc. influencers and people who were like on the online right who were kind of stumped for Trump very heavily at the end of last year and into this year. And like the same sentiments, like it's now or never. We have to do this, Mr. President. Like, you know, send in the nukes, send in the Marines, send in whatever. And it's just like, dude, it's not happening. It's not happening. And like, if you're a white person with conscience and good standing, you've got a responsibility, especially if you're a family person, you've got a responsibility to just, and this is a sentiment a lot of people don't like. You just got to get out. You know, I'm from New York. I spent first 30 odd years of my life in New York City.
Let's go.
There's
Fellow
nothing.
New Yorker.
There's nothing there. There's nothing there anymore. I mean, like, no joke. The last 6 months that I was there, I was in like 3 or 4 near fatal car accidents with people either not from the area, not from the country, not from the hemisphere. And it's just like, you're taking your life into your own hands. Just what, not to, you guys probably remember like the left-wing meme of like conservatives, like they wear their guns, but they're afraid to take the train. Like, what are they so afraid of the big cities? It's like, you literally are taking your life into your own hands if you live in a major metropolitan area and you're just trying to go about your day. If you're just trying to get to your job, if you're just going on the expressway, like you're really gambling with your life. You know, my girlfriend also from New York, it's like the last year we were there, it's like I wouldn't let her take the Long Island Railroad anywhere. And the Long Island Railroad is like basically the safest public transportation you can take. And since COVID, but particularly in the last 2 years, there were homeless people on the LIRR. There were vagrants on the LIRR. There were fights breaking out on the Long Island Railroad. I'm watching a guy smoke crack on the bench across from me. And that had never happened in the entire history of my life living there. It probably really hadn't happened since like the 1980s, back when New York was really, really bad. I know we're talking about LA, but New York and LA are sort of like mirror opposites in terms of how badly they've degenerated, how the Democrat leadership, even, I mean, Bloomberg and who was the other guy, Giuliani, were, you know, responsible somewhat for the restoration of New York, but in other ways they presided over other kinds of deterioration, like Bloomberg. Under Bloomberg, New York became totally financialized to the point where the only industries were in Lower Manhattan. It was only finance. Everything else was kind of falling by the wayside. So, like, I left. I say this just to say, you know, I left New York. Most of the people I know from California have left California. I actually have only been to California one time. It was a couple of years ago to meet some online racist friends. And I was in Palm Springs, I was in Venice Beach, and I was in Los Angeles. And like, hand to God, when we were in Venice Beach, I saw racial configurations I have never seen in my life before. Like, I couldn't even guess the ethnicity or the composition of these people. There's like a black guy, like literally pimping out his preteen daughter on the, like, just on Venice Beach. Like, it was some of the most disgusting things I'd ever seen. Stark contrast to how beautiful California is. Like, Palm Springs is gorgeous. Venice Beach, other than the people, gorgeous. Los Angeles was pretty cool, but like everywhere you go, it's like 14 fat cholos and their cholo children. There's just there's nothing left to fight for, and I can't even get animated enough to like cheer from the sidelines and say, yes, send in the Marines, gun them all down, in Minecraft, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
That's really how I feel about
But
it.
can't we
I'm-
fix
I'm-
this by giving another $70 million to Israel?
I got
140 million.
Yeah, there we go. I kind of feel what you're saying there because I see people getting real worked up about it. And like, I definitely am of the mind, like, yeah, we should probably use the military to shut down foreigners protesting over there. But I've also said now for years, like, you have to abandon California. Like, there's no saving it at this point. And to your point about New York City, I've been to New York City twice. And the first time I'll never forget when my wife and I were walking to go to see the Statue of Liberty. I remember walking past a subway and there were two girls in front of us and one guy in front of them, and my wife, and I behind all of them. And some dude, I swear to God, came out of the subway, swung and decked the dude that was in front of us right in the face and just started beating his ass out of nowhere. Just came right out of the subway. So I'm like, okay, I will never go in those subways in my entire life. And yeah, man, it was rough. But yeah, I can't find myself to be like passionate about the cities. I love my city here, Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh's still kind of nice.
Yeah.
It's getting worse, but like the big major cities, I'm like, no, that's a lost cause. I hate to tell people that, but there's nothing you could do.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with Josh because I'm also from New York City, Josh. So shout out. But like, I don't live there anymore either. I live in Pennsylvania now, so it's like it's trash. And like the subway thing is so spot on, dude. I would genuinely feel safer if they would just had roaming tigers and polar bears in the subway than what they have right now. Like, it's definitely safer to be with that. And like, I get what you guys are saying about like California, but like at the same token, we shouldn't just let them have it. I get the sentiment of like, it's a lot.
Yeah,
you know who they are, Sam.
Yeah, come on, Sam.
You know who they are, Sam. Every fucking immigrant, every fucking green-haired, fucking looking shit lip. It's like they took over one of the most aesthetically pleasing states we have. And for us to just be like, well, they got it. It's like, no, let's just go in there and take it back. What are they going to do? Fight us?
No, they're just going to have the cops arrest you because there's a 2-tier justice system.
That's definitely true. But that's kind of my point. It's like, we shouldn't just give up California to a bunch of fucking crazy immigrant /shit.
We already gave California up to them.
That's my point. That's my fucking point. We shouldn't just let them keep it.
Okay. Well, so it's like it's literally is the meme, the meme of like the Mexican guy on one side, the Mexican guy on the other side, and it's like, we don't want your kind here. It's like, yeah. I'm coming to America. We don't want your kind here. And it's like you see the photos of what's going on there, and it's a Mexican or seemingly Hispanic-looking guy in the uniform, and it's like, so it's all Mexicans. Like I don't like you can't. It's not. They're not. I mean, I don't know. I don't have statistics to pull up right now, but like the racial composition of the military, law enforcement is not. To put it lightly, it gives you a certain impression that the white genocide has kind of already happened. The Great Replacement has already happened. So like you've got these Mexican guys or whatever, Puerto Rican, South Hispanic, whatever, Hispanic, South American people. Like they're in the military, they're in the Marines, they're in the National Guard. And it's like Beaner versus Beaner, spy versus spy, Beaner versus Beaner. I just like, it's absurd. It's like, I don't even have words to express really how I feel about it, other than that tells you that it's already gone, that it's already over. And the Reconquista will have to be at some point in the future. It's not going to be tomorrow. It's not going to be a week from now. It's not going to be next year. It's going to be some point down the line when, I don't know, the whole thing has fallen apart.
This is that meme you were talking about earlier.
I mean,
yeah.
Am I the only one here that's not racist?
Yes. You're racist.
Look, so
you're an anthropologist.
Our friend, our friend Meta Prime had said that he's a macro racist, but a micro individualist. I think it was something.
Yeah, but most racist people are macro racist, micro individualists. I don't think we have that 20th or 19th century style racism anymore. Of like, well, actually, maybe not, because I would actually be of the opinion, because whatever. I'm not judging anybody here. I know where we all stand here, but I think it's more of an assimilation thing, because there are plenty of ethnic Mexicans that are in like the Marine Corps and whatever. And I like from my experience, I think a lot of those guys are a lot more loyal to the U.S. than they are to Mexico. I don't know. I mean,
A lot more
I don't
loyal
know
than other Americans.
and yes, more loyal. Like I would take, like if we're counting white versus Mexican, I would take like a Mexican guys that I knew in the military over the blue-haired whites 9 times out of 10. I'm taking that 10 times out of 10. Really.
I agree with you. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Obviously because it's like all over, and I've been trying to debrief from the news because it's just been insane, one thing after another. It seems like every day. But even with this, is like I grew up in very diverse neighborhoods, Typo's seen where I've grown up. Predominantly Black and Hispanic schools, mostly Hispanic.
So you're spiritually non-white, is what you're telling me.
For a lot of my life, yes.
Are me and
yes,
Typo
definitely.
the only two here that are actually whites?
You're Irish. You're not fucking white.
A wop. Don't talk to me about that. I'm Irish.
You're a
you
fucking
frickin'
dirty
wop.
Mick.
My
picks
people were here
potatoes.
well before
goes-
yours were here. Decades, in fact.
Sam
I'm
Duran
also English,
stands.
which still has
Yeah,
you
and I'm
outranked.
also English too. What happened?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think I got that was weird. I might have got.
I
kicked.
thought that
think I
was me.
kicked.
Everybody good?
Yeah, I thought it was me too.
Okay, glad it was just all of us. Okay, so let's do this here. I'm sorry, Josh. I know that you went on a very serious thing, and I think that what you said was very good. And I think that you're right. Basically, I think you're basically right because whatever they give us is just going to be lauded on social media by people for $12 in ad revenue from X and whoever they're being paid for from a super PAC or something. Someone like Laura Loomer. About how, oh my God, it's super base, but it doesn't change anything, and they're really not taking it seriously. So it is kind of.
You mentioned Laura Loomer. I mean, she does the tweet where she's like, "Bring in Palantir."
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh yeah,
all these people, and don't
Yeah.
lie that you wouldn't want them to do it. It's like I feel I'm not the first person to say this, and I think I'm going to take a wild guess and say you're all old enough to remember this. I lived through the W. Bush era. I feel like I'm going through some kind of not Freaky Friday, but like Groundhog Day situation.
Yeah.
Where it's like we're redoing the Patriot Act, like the 2020 version of the Patriot Act, and we're just saying this has to happen. We need it right now. Not to get all Alex Jones like problem reaction solution and say that this was all architected for this to exactly occur the way that it's happening, but I mean, like there are plenty of resources to address the problem, and the will isn't there. Not only is the will not there, but
Thank you.
the demographic composition, the kind of spiritual health of the country is not there. So, like break out Palantir. How about no? You know, and if they did,
Yeah.
that would be the first good thing Palantir's ever done, which makes me think they're also not going to do it.
Right. And if they were to do it any other way, how could they do it better than what they're doing right now? Like that's a big argument that we've talked about many years on Typo and I's show, is like if they were trying to do it any other way, like it was legit black flag event or like a false flag event or, you know, whatever, if they could do it any other way, how could they do it better than they're doing right now? And it's like they're laying the groundwork for all Con Inc. to just be like, here we go. Like,
Yeah.
let's vote in Palantir and they're going to fucking take over everything. They can do whatever they want. They can put everybody on whatever list they want. They can track all your bank accounts. They can track all your social media. They can, you know, pull together all the media that they want to and metadata that they want to and create your own little profile that they will have on you forever, which sure, they probably already do in some aspect on everybody in certain circles. But just to continue, like they're laying the groundwork for Con Inc. to just roll in the red carpet. And we've also said this before, is the right is so much better at being the underdog party. Like when it's not in power, it's so much better and so much more true to like liberty and things of justice than it is when it is on top and it's the top dog. Because when it's the top dog, it's just like everything else, and they wrap it up in a nice little
effective.
and it's usually more effective. Exactly.
Yeah,
Luke,
it's like
I'm gonna-
Patriot Act 2.0. Dude.
Right. To piggyback off what you just said, Luke, you're gonna see, I'll put whatever amount of money you want on it, that the next few months, you're gonna see a lot of these big right-wing accounts, Laura Loomer, all these other ones start being like, we need Plantier for terrorism. We
Yeah,
gotta stop
already doing it.
terrorism. And they're
They're
right.
Hamas
And
terrorists.
it's
I'm
gonna
sure
be
that
way
Hamas will
more.
have attacked.
It's gonna be way more in the next few months. Like all the Cernoviches, all these fucking losers are gonna
Yes.
eat this right away. Bam, flip flop right to no. But we actually need plant. We need them. We
Tim
need them
Pool.
for our safety.
Tim Pool's gonna be on there. Everybody
Yeah,
that got like
100%.
that little dossier of Epstein client list,
Yes,
where they like
yes,
brought him in.
yes,
Everybody that was a part of that group, they're
100%.
going to be signing off on Palantir or whatever the fuck,
Yep.
however you say it. And it's going to be more and more every day. And Con Inc. is going to eat it up.
Yep, we're gonna hear a lot of. I had a meeting with Congressman so and so, and you know, after
Yeah.
talking to them, I think this is a good idea. And it's like, all right, dude,
Yeah.
we're fucked because it's gonna
This way,
pass.
if it was a Tiki Torch rally, if it was a Patriot Front rally, if it was a nationalist organization doing a demonstration, there wouldn't even be conservative talking heads on Twitter X calling for Palantir like Alex Karp would be, like 1984 broadcast on everyone's screen saying like it already would have happened. They just would have done it. There wouldn't need to be this like faux grassroots movement to unleash, you know, the Kraken, the Palantir Kraken. They just would have done it. And so again, it just speaks to like where the public consciousness, or not even the public consciousness, but like where the leadership actually is. So yeah, it's just disheartening. Sorry, guys.
It's all
I'm
paid
not
for.
very funny.
It doesn't. No, it's fine. Neither is Sam. It's all bought and paid for, so it doesn't matter. Like what their morals are. They're gonna go, how much are you gonna pay me? Yeah, I'll fucking put this all over my Twitter account, and the next time I sit up on the Congress floor, I'm gonna talk about Palantir. It's like it doesn't matter. That's what I'm saying. We're fucked either way.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of agree with Josh earlier. Is like, got to get out of the cities. Got to move to areas that are more on the same page as where we're at. What it seems like all of us are at. I also agree with you, Sam. Where it kind of where I was going before was before our fucking internet almost got cut out and we were deleted from the internet. Was like, I think
Palantir.
it is. There's a it's a exactly. They caught us, dude. They knew what we were saying. It's more like the issue of assimilation, where I grew up with a lot of people. They all hated the fucking government, probably just as much as I did, if not more. Saw a lot of really fucked up shit from cops growing up where I was at. And so it's like, I think it's the issue of assimilation. And Sam talks about it all the time, how even at the collegiate level where he was going to school and everything else, that they're not teaching assimilation at all whatsoever in education programs or anything across the United States. It's all about acceptance and bringing those people in and letting them be whoever they want to be, whether they're the special little flower, and they don't have to be American whatsoever. And I still don't understand I'm here illegally from Mexico, but I'm going to riot and wave a Mexican flag because I'm proud of Mexico in the middle of LA. Like, I don't understand it.
It
But
doesn't
you
make
won't
any
go
sense.
back.
They're protesting deportation by flying the flag of another country. Like,
Right.
you obviously don't want to be here. You just want the benefits of living here
Exactly.
Yeah.
without
we're not
any
in-
of
we're-
anything else.
We're not, I said this, like, there's some video of some dude that was like, why do Americans truly, like, I really want an answer. You know, it was very like trying to placate a lot of audiences. I really want an answer on why Americans think that it'd be a good idea to just deport all these low-wage laborers and make the economy. And it's like, I don't want indentured servitude to be the backbone of the United States.
How are we
And-
going to do all our labor if we free the slaves? What do you
Yeah,
mean?
I
It's
know, it's the
impossible.
same-
Yeah, dude, it's the same
cake
shit.
200
Just-
years later.
Yeah, and
And it's still
at
the
the same time-
Democrats.
Yeah.
it's it doesn't change. No, but Sam, the party's flip flopped.
Yeah,
in
the
the
party's
1800s.
flipped. They
Yeah,
did. They
yeah.
totally flipped, even though I've never seen a shred of evidence for that, but it's just repeated so
Not
often.
one. I remember,
Fucking idiots.
dude, it was a talking point I used to say in high school because I remember taking AP US history and them fucking throwing that shit down my throat. And I was like, oh, the parties did flip.
Yep. Yep.
And fucking grew
And it's
the
what
fuck
they
up.
taught me in education college for my social studies education course at the #1 education college in the country, where the guy who was Biden's Secretary of Education got his PhD at. I went to that fucking school, and it was cancerous.
I believe in the 1800s too, the Democratic Party was like anti-funding public schools until they realized, oh, we could fucking indoctrinate all these kids. We should throw all this money into public schools. Like that's also a thing no one talks about.
Yeah,
Well, wasn't
and they don't
the-
talk about it was Henry Ford and Rockefeller funded
Yes.
it. The Rockefeller's General Education Board that funded it specifically to create a nation
Prussian
of
system.
factory workers.
Right.
No, it's not the Prussian system. Everyone gets this
I
fucking
knew
wrong.
he was
Are you
going to get
fucking
so
with me?
mad.
It's not the Prussian system. The Prussian
He was
system
gonna get
is
so
from
mad.
earlier in the 19th century. The General Education Board starts in the 1890s and the 1900s, and that was on top of the Prussian system. The Prussian model was relevant in the 19th century, and it was built upon with the General Education Board and the standardization of education. Before that, there were still other systems of public education that had been in
Thank you.
New England since the 1630s. Sam claims to have gone to the top education college in the nation, yet is dumber than an orangutan.
That might be the best long-running bit of the show.
I love it.
Might be.
I would just say on the comment about the flag, Mexican nationals or whatever, illegal immigrants waving the flag in the middle of the protest. I mean, to me, that's just, what does the flag represent? Okay, it represents their nation. It represents their government. It represents the system of life that they have in Mexico. It's also a folk symbol. It's a folk symbol. It's a symbol of their ethnos. And so when they're waving that flag in the middle of LA, they're saying, we are here as conquerors. We are establishing our dominance here. And like there's like so many of these con Inc. influencers who are like, well, the hypocrisy of waving the flag when they clearly hate the country they're from. It's like, no, they don't. They love being Mexican. They love Mexico, and they are foot soldiers in the replacement migration warfare. And so many of them, historically, it's pretty illiterate, but so many of them basically view California as stolen land regardless. So then they're there just doing the Reconquista. I'm not a history guy. I'm a psychology guy, but like, how long was Mexico actually independent for? Like 2 decades or something like that.
I think it was a little bit more than that.
Okay.
Maybe 3.
But not an especially long time. It was a Spanish colony for a long time, and then it was ours for longer, I suppose. I'm not really sure. Again, not a history guy. But like the history of it being its own, Amerindian or Indo sovereign state, like it's not a thing. It's not a thing. I'll kick it to you guys.
It was 27 years. It was 27 years until we actually conquered that land. 1821 to 1848. So literally in between what you and I said, which is funny. But yeah, and it's also, I've seen these signs like you are on Mexican and indigenous land. It's like Mexico is just as much of a colonial state as the United States is.
Yeah, but Sam, you know what they really mean? They mean white people took it. That's all they really mean. And it's like, you got conquered.
Who
Fight
started
better.
Mexico? Like Mexico was started by white people. That's who started
is there this kind of beef in Mexico? Like a beef between like more Spanish people
less.
than okay.
Yeah.
As someone who's been in Mexico a few times in my life, you could tell the more Spanish European descent and the more like Aborigine Mexican descent. They're shorter, fatter, they have like a wider face, and then like the more Hispanic, like Spanish Mexicans are like more, they look like us.
Lighter.
Yeah, they have like a different facial structure. It's very obvious.
I want to have this whole indigenous thing just completely wiped out of, like, maybe just remove it from the dictionary, strike it from our vocabulary entirely. Sam, I think probably this would be more up your alley because I know you're into anthropology. Before I ever got into like, quote, radical right-wing politics, I was really into a lot of conspiracy stuff, in particular, like not revisionist history, not of the David Irving style, but more of the Graham Hancock style. And it's like when you think about, okay, the notion, the whole idea that indigenous naturally means like, street shitters and Amerindian types, like you've frozen in time, like the movement of peoples. You've frozen in time an understanding of human history, and it's like, I think this is pretty much a matter of record. Like the first peoples on the North American continent were white people. I don't know that they were Vikings.
It's heavily argued about, and it predates like what modernly means a white person, but
Right.
this is an argument that you're like not allowed to have.
Right.
But yes, the haplogroup of Kennewick man, who is one of the earlier examples of Native Americans, has a maternal mtDNA haplogroup of X, which comes from Europe, like pre-Indo-European Europeans.
Yeah.
Didn't most of the Native Americans in America cross the Bering Strait at one point and then settled from like Eurasia?
That's a theory.
Right?
Well, no, yes, but it's more complicated because that's like Clovis first. The Clovis people did that, but there were definitely people here far before that, tens of thousands of years. And that was basically proven in the 90s and then argued about for a few decades after that, and then it became accepted. And the current main theory is called the Kelp Highway hypothesis, which is an idea of boat travel during the Ice Age. And the Kelp Highway hypothesis does not make a distinction of different routes, either northwest, northeast, or southwest, or some combination of them. But it is it's now also accepted that there is some sort of southwestern route. Either Polynesians, or definitely Polynesians, were in South America a lot later. And then there is something about Aboriginal Australian DNA as well in South America. It's a whole mess. There's a lot of things, a lot of new research, and it's heavily argued about, but that's essentially it.
And I think the other thing is like they're even where they say white people are from, they're not even allowed to have that. They gotta allow everybody else to go to Europe, all across Europe. So it's like
So
all right, so everybody else can say that this land is stolen or whatever else. But when it's a predominantly white nation anywhere else in the world, Europe or here in the United States, we have to accept everybody else because we're on stolen land. But even if we go and look at Europe and what's happening in Europe, it's okay because they're just white. And so it's allowable even on their homeland. So none of it, there's just so much bullshit constantly thrown, and it's a race thing every single time. And then they're like, well, why do white people feel like they have to protect themselves from all these other nations? They're just scared of immigrants and this, that, or the other. And it's like, well, you're not giving them really much of an option one way or the other. Like they may not be scared particularly, but they don't want them around. And
because Luke, ethnic food is more important than protecting your woman from being murdered and raped by foreigners. That's why.
Yeah, I do say
Mexicans get those burritos.
Make the best food, bro. It doesn't matter what restaurant you're in the United States. There's some Mexicans in the back that are making bomb ass food to come out to the front.
Dude, they are even working in the Chinese restaurant in the town near me.
Dude.
I looked in the back. I was like, dude, it's not even Asians anymore. It's just fucking Mexicans.
Yeah, they're replacing everything. They're replacing every race.
It's funny, especially not to get off track, but like when you think about the South Africans, so like supposedly out of Africa theory explains human origins. So white European peoples came from Africa. Right. So they're indigenous to Africa, but they can't even be in Africa. So it's just like every application of this type of rhetoric is always about I don't remember who said it before, but forestalling the obvious conversations that need to happen and just browbeating European people, white people, Christian people. So
Well,
this is why
actually-
I would I'll put a bow on it. I mean, as far as this idea, we need to like stand our ground and wipe out all of these protesters. If that happened, I wouldn't shed a tear. I wouldn't bat an eyelash. But I think part of coming to not just a sort of racial consciousness, but also coming to an understanding of where this country is and what the country's future very likely is going to be. I think it only makes sense for people to, like Luke was saying before, like retreat is an ugly word, but to reclaim. I mean, I frame it in terms of reclaiming some of the hollowed out parts of the country, and I don't even mean like in the dumb conservative way of like find a shed somewhere out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, like where I live in Virginia is very small. It's a sort of elderly, top heavy population. If you wanted to roll in with 10, 20, 30, 50 guys, you could take over the local institutions in a couple of years. And it's not like Virginia isn't an economic or productivity powerhouse of the country. A lot of military work gets done here. A lot of very important industry is here in Virginia. And if you just had a small group of people with their families rolling through and taking the local democratic process seriously, well, now you've got like a regional ethnic mafia effectively. And you can sort of lean on the classical American legal sentiment and the classical American penchant for liberty and say, well, like these are literally our rights to be here, and there's legal grounding to pursue that. So it is a tragedy what's happening in California. If the most aggressive means were taken to put this down, I would not complain for even half a second. But I think people need to recognize what time it is.
Yeah, well, we spent a lot of this episode talking about like, all the major cities are lost, move. Agreed, right? But if this whole replacement theory that we think is not a theory is happening, eventually these small towns you're talking about are going to also start getting fucking people shipped to them. Look at Springfield, Ohio.
Yeah.
Right?
It's
Like,
already happened. I live in Southern
happening.
Illinois.
So how long until, all right, fuck New York City, fuck Chicago, fuck LA. Agreed, whatever. When until, like, I live in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. When is Bucks County going to start getting invaded?
Dude, you're there. It's already fucked.
True.
No,
I think right now we need.
Yeah, dude, it's fucking gone. We wrote that off a while ago.
No, I think right now this is kind of where I have. When I think, because like hopefully I'm getting married this year, and we're looking for venues and stuff like that. I want to start a family. I got a lot. We want to move. I think right now, I say all this because how I've looked at it the last few years, especially knowing that these things were coming up in my life and that's where I wanted to take my life. It's like, I'm looking for places to consolidate. Does that make sense? Like I'm looking for places that it's so rampant with other people that have like-minded views as I do. And that's why every time when I get on a show, I'm like, yep, the year after I move out there, you and your girl are moving out there too. Like you're gonna sell your house and you're gonna move out there. And I'm talking to my buddy that's over he's in where's he at? North Carolina, right? Yeah, he's in North Carolina too. I'm like, hey, right when I get there, you guys have a place to stay and you guys can figure out where you want to move, like in our area, and we get more people. And there's already people there that we know. At least there's some in Nashville that we know that I'm like, nah, you guys aren't going to live in Nashville for long. You guys are coming over here. Like it's like a period. And this is what I wanted from the Trump presidency was I wanted enough time to consolidate with the people that I know will believe in things the way that I believe in. And enough time to at least hopefully not have the boot on my neck so far down my throat that I can breathe a little bit to be able to do those things. And so that's kind of how I see it. And if you make it so, if you structure it like that and you think about it like that, hey, congrats, not nice guys.
Yeah, congrats.
if you structure it like that and you think about it like that, I think you have a better year or a better way of protecting yourself from what is going on in the cities and still able to live a life that's not like you grabbed a shed out in some bumfuck nowhere county in the dumb Hickville of, you know, whatever. Like, I don't want to be a part of that either. I don't want to trade, like, there's going to be sacrifices, but I don't want to trade fucking everything to have this, this way of life to just be completely destroyed. And so I think we're in a period right now, and maybe we'll get another 4 years with a JD Vance type figure or something like that, where the boot isn't stuck so far down our throats that we have the time and chance to consolidate. And I know I'm saying this on a podcast full of fucking 5 other white dudes, but it doesn't necessarily, for me personally, it doesn't necessarily mean for me just fucking white people move where I'm living.
Well, yeah,
It's
your wife's not white, dog.
Exactly. So like the people that think like I do, my buddy that's in North Carolina is definitely not white. He's a giant black dude, but is probably gets along with everybody here just fine. Is probably more vocal about his views towards people of color than anybody on this podcast, especially
color? What the fuck? You loser.
He's racist, dude. He's the most racist person I know.
Just to Adam's point before, I mean, I moved where I am in Virginia. I moved here middle of last September, and I kind of had it in mind to move here, but I wanted to give other options a fair shake. I wanted to really see what, I mean, I don't want to do this again. I don't want to be in a continual cycle of white flight, basically repetitious white flight. So I looked at a bunch of places, and one of them was a small town outside of Scranton, Pennsylvania. I think it was Moscow, Pennsylvania. And
that's
we were
where I live.
No, really?
Yeah, well, it's where I'm moving in 2 months, and I half live. But yeah, not Moscow, but near in its small town outside of Scranton.
So Wilkes Barre was very it was shocking to see demographically what was going on there. And I went down to Moscow because the housing prices looked good. It was a small community, looked like there was good schools, and I'm driving through the town, and it's like minimum 40% Mexican. And I'm talking like little brown people Mexicans. And it's like, this is off the path. This is not Pittsburgh. It's not Philadelphia. We drove up to Scranton after that, and it was like being in New Hampshire. It was like libtard Mecca. But you go out towards the more rural kind of niche areas, and it's just like you wouldn't believe what you're seeing. I checked out Rhode Island. And I always had this idea that Rhode Island was sort of, New England, kind of older America, older ethnic stock. I'd also heard that a lot of Italians had left there, had left New York.
Good sign. Good sign.
So I drove virtually all through Rhode Island, except for like maybe the southeastern part and some of the wealthier parts. And you might as well be like driving around Calcutta. You might as well be driving around some other distant part of the world because there's not a white face in sight. So, I mean, the notion of, I'm increasingly more hostile to this, white nationalist conspiracy, great replacement theory. It's like you literally cannot go anywhere, seemingly, without, unless it's a very wealthy white area, or it's a very white industrious area. Like there's seemingly nowhere you can go where there aren't these people. And the quality of life predictably deteriorates. The maintenance of these towns predictably deteriorates. It's just a travesty.
Isn't Lewiston, Maine, like full of like African migrants, where it's like their soccer team, like their high school soccer teams, like completely like compromised of like non-whites and shit? I believe it's Lewiston, Maine. Yeah, and you're like, I mean, like, again, to my point earlier, it's like they're just gonna keep coming for smaller and smaller towns. It's not just gonna stick to the big cities. There's no fucking way.
There was a
Yeah, it's
story
like
some years
anywhere
ago
there's a
about
factory.
upstate, further up north than Albany, and how there all of the young people had moved out, and there was just like this older upper crust doing the maintenance, like plowing the snow and all that, and the people that were coming into these areas were like not basically not moving into those vocations and those industries to maintain the area basically the way that it needed to be. And it's like, think about how many other parts of this country are like that, where it's a small percentage of the population that does most of the work, that makes the place livable, that makes it productive, that makes it a nice place to live. And they ship in all of these, effectively welfare populations. And it's just, it's the catastrophe is built into it.
Well, Josh, I guess like a good way to end the show would be like, where does the psychology of this come from? Like, why is it that this is happening in predominantly white countries? Like, is this from some sort of like, a lot of people call it like the post-war consensus? Is it something
Suicidal
from that?
empathy.
Yeah, suicidal
word.
empathy. Like, where does this thinking, I guess, derive from? Like, why is this happening essentially?
Well,
Heavy question.
yeah, I'm trying to put together a few disparate thoughts in my mind. There's a streak. I don't want to do a Curtis Yarvin and say that it's all the Calvinists and Lutherans' faults, but there's a certain streak of, Anglo-Saxon. I mean, look, the people who came into this country, they fled England, and they fled England with the mentality that we are the true Anglo-Saxons. We are the true Christian Anglo-Saxons. And they settled America as being more English than England was. And there are certain sort of, I hesitate to say utopian strands of religious thought that have followed with those people. It was visible in the abolitionist movement. It was visible in the prohibition movement. It was visible in all of these sort of progressive political movements in the country's history, where the sort of lording over other people and uprooting, cleansing like society had a deeply religious, Christ-like significance to these people. I mean, there's a great song by oh gosh, I can't remember the name of the band. They were a prog rock band. Hold on a second.
Kyle.
Kyle just I saw Kyle's eyes go.
Yeah, he said prog rock, and prog rock isn't particularly my thing, so a little bit.
Oh, dude, you look like part of prog rock though. So
Was it Dream Theater? Is that one of
No,
the Dream Rock
House
band?
is it
there's
a
Rush.
common crown?
But they did a cover song of a William Blake poem. I think it was a Jerusalem. I can't remember the name of the band that recorded it. It was a big hit back in the 1960s. Prog rock. I'm sorry for tanking the show.
No, you're fine.
Emerson, Lake and Palmer. So Emerson, Lake and Palmer did this cover. Not a cover. They turned the William Blake poem Jerusalem into a song. It's a fucking killer song. But there's a sort of strain in like the English consciousness. This like first son, second son kind of phenomenon vis-a-vis them and Jews wrestling over the legacy of Christ and Christianity and who is the real Jerusalem. That's basically what the William Blake poem or the song is about, is that England is the real Jerusalem, that the English are the real Israelites. And that's sort of like chip on the shoulder, transformational, what E. Michael Jones would say, like the revolutionary spirit. That type of psychology, I think, is present in the founding stock or certain populations of the founding stock here, and that has reliably followed through in every century in American history. Now, I don't want to do a Curtis Yarvin thing and say that it necessarily follows in this linear, predictable way that we would have gotten George Floyd statues from these people, regardless of how history may have unfolded. But I think one of the facts is this sort of like messianic utopian English consciousness, the progressive busybody mentality that's always been there. I think that the other obvious part of the equation, and it probably has a greater influence on things happening the way that they have happened. You made reference to the post-war consensus. I mean, the raison d'etre of the world we've all grown up in has been this, we're going to wipe away the past and we're going to build a more stable, predictable, kind of risk-averse future. And we're going to do that by pruning all of these ideas and sentiments from the masses that lead to genocide, that lead to World War II, that lead to the Shoah, that lead to all these kinds of things happening. And it's in most of the foundational texts of the post-war consensus. I've written about this. Karl Popper, his Open Society, very clearly lays out that the sort of nativism, closed borders, nationalism, preoccupation with what is truth, what is justice, what makes someone an authority figure, the kind of deep existential questions about leadership and governance are questions that categorically can't be answered, shouldn't be answered, because they will, inevitably lead to persecution of minorities. They will lead to all kinds of nasty things. So to ensure that another, European civil war doesn't break out, to ensure that there is no Auschwitz ever again, all of these things break down to crushing local sovereignty, changing the histories of local peoples, changing the consciousness of local peoples. Again, I wrote about this in my most recent book, Intolerant Interpretations with AntelopeHillPublishing.com. Go buy book. You look at people like Paul Bloom, who's a Ivy League Canadian American psychologist, ethnically Jewish, but a dual citizen of Canada and the United States. These people have a sort of program where for them, academic work is a means of ethnic self-defense. It's a means of tribal warfare. And when someone like Paul Bloom, who's a developmental psychologist, meaning his job is to study the progression of infant, to toddler, to adolescent, so on and so forth, the neurological and psychological transformations that occur, he views that as an opportunity to do effectively racial self-defense. He wrote a book that was basically bringing his research to a popular audience. The book was called Just Babies: On the Origin of Good and Evil in Infancy. And it brings this collection of findings, some of which were his own, some of which were other experimental studies conducted around the same time. Basically, he finds out that two really critical things, that within the first year of life, infants are capable of making friend and enemy distinctions. And they're capable, and not only capable, but inclined to demonstrate kinship preference. And the punchline of his research, the punchline of his book, is that we need to engineer those two instincts out of children. And if they're present at infancy, then we need to be working. Basically, as soon as the doctor takes your child, delivers your child, they need to be handed over to a re-education specialist to make sure that they have liberal, progressive, moral sentiments. So, I mean, that type of mentality, and again, I don't want to say anything that's too damaging to your YouTube channel or anyone's reputation here. That mentality,
I have a reputation, it's fine.
That mentality, which is most commonly, most emblematically seen among ethnically Jewish intellectuals, has never been prominent in the history, probably, of the human species until the last 60, 70 years. Really, maybe 200 years. But if we're thinking in terms of the post-war consensus, the type of uniformity of that mentality in every European country of note, that's never happened before. So, I mean, I try not to be monomaniacal and say, well, it's just this group of people, or it's just specifically, some people will say, well, we're where we are because of Christianity, and it's just Christianity. It's like that. Actually, I don't know if that's totally accurate. We're just here where we are because of the Jewish people. And it's like, I mean, I kind of want to agree with you, but there's other things going on. It's this conflux of historical events, right? Of historical factors. But we can absolutely look, if we're taking a smaller sliver of our recent history, we can absolutely look at who these people are. And when they're publishing paper after paper, article after article, book after book, documentary after documentary, saying it was us, I think we can take them at their word.
You're making me want to go home and have a baby with my wife. I'm just gonna raise that kid on like the first half of American History X. I'm gonna like Clockwork Orange him. I'm just gonna like open his eyes and just have him watch the first half of American History X for fucking every day.
All right, so that's what's gonna go on with my daughter.
Yeah. Say Uncle Adam has a good idea.
No Miss Rachel for you, motherfucker. American History X it is.
Just the first half. Just the first half.
Yeah.
Because then it gets all Libby and gay. But the first half is fucking. But not nice guy had a good point. He says this is why they're transing the kids. This is how they're accomplishing it. I mean, I'm no expert. Josh probably knows more than fucking we all do. But like that, I think it's definitely part of the deculturization of America, and especially men. You're trying to feminize society more and more, I would assume, is what's going on there. But again, that would be more of a question for Josh to answer than me.
Again, I don't want to seem like the monomaniacal crazy.
It's them. It's always them.
It's always them. It's crazy.
Well, they're a very inbred population. They are a very matriarchal, ecologically matriarchal population. Phenotypically, you look at like an English man and an English woman, and they kind of look different. The men look like men, the women look like women, the men are men, the women are women. You look at Italian people, there are very clear sex. I forget the exact terminology for it, but there are clear sexual demarcation between the two. What's really interesting.
Dimorphism.
Thank you very much. That's the word. When you look at these people, I haven't read it. I can't speak to it with any degree of authority, but there's a certain idea that the Talmud has. There are multiple genders or sort of multiple consciousnesses that derive out of the Talmud. So, when you look at the dimorphism of Jewish men and women, there's sort of like a very thin line that separates one from the other.
Oy vey.
So I think by their constitution, they have more kind of sexual ambiguity, both psychologically and otherwise. And putting them in charge of these types of conversations basically gives them license to. It's kind of similar to like the whole Freudian psychoanalytic problem. Freud posits this sexual fantasy, this Oedipal fantasy, as a sort of universal human experience, when it's first and foremost an expression of specifically bourgeois Central European Jewish families. I would say, generally speaking, yes, for every young child, there's a sort of navigation that they have to do. Identification with the father, identification with the mother, learning to give up mommy to go find a woman of their own. There sort of is a universal conflict that is there, but the specifically bordering on incestual angle that someone like Freud put on that, it's a stretch to superimpose that over every ethnic group, every world culture, every world population. And I think that's also the situation with the trans phenomenon. It's like the sort of sexual ambiguity that that community experiences is very, very particular. And then to transform that into a universal truth of all human populations around the world is only achievable if they have the megaphone, and they've had the megaphone.
If you ask the average person where the first trans hospital was, they would assume America in like the 70s. And then you go, well, it was actually pre-World War II Germany run by a Jew. And they're like, what? Like, yeah, right? Crazy.
Sam, I got a question for you. Why do Jewish men and women look the same?
I mean, I don't think they do. Have you seen the freaking tits on those girls?
Jesus.
I one time
Jesus
saw
Christ,
the hottest.
that was not what I was expecting to come
What
from
were you
Sam at that
expecting?
instant.
I think Josh was talking more spiritually rather than physically.
Yeah, I know. I was just kidding.
But I don't know.
He's like
anything about
both.
that.
Fuck it.
But yeah, no. I mean, have you seen Abby Shapiro? Frickin' milk truck.
Jesus Christ, dude. That's what's
I
gonna
saw-
get us.
I
fucked.
saw a
It's
very
not anything
hot-
else. It's that.
Yeah, for sure. I saw a very hot Hasidic woman one time in my entire life, and I was like, I could save you. I could get you out of this. I could get out of this cult. Shapiro slobber knockers.
Jesus. The Khazar
It's
mommy
just getting
milkers,
worse.
as they call it.
Oh,
It's just getting worse in the comments.
Yeah.
Have you seen
Good.
Pat Dennings? I mean, come on, guys.
Yeah. Facts. Facts.
Yeah.
They are some huge
All right.
tits. You should wrap it up.
Well,
That's how we're gonna wrap it up. We're gonna wrap it
Yeah,
up
dude.
on
We
me
should
talking
wrap it
about
up on
Jew
Jewish
tits.
tits. Yeah.
Come on.
You technically brought it up, and then we all just followed suit.
Hey, I just answered a question.
Okay.
Answer the question
fine.
with a question. Dude, Josh,
If Josh is
thank you.
familiar at all with my work and then not familiar with me on 5 till midnight, I'm sure he's very confused right now.
Yeah, it's a very different side of you, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And he's
if-
still the gayest, most liberal one on this show.
Yeah.
Think of that. That's crazy.
I'm outside of 5 till midnight. I'm the most serious, like well-spoken fucking writer and podcaster on this panel.
Let's pump the brakes here. Oh,
Okay, shut the fuck up, Polak. That's absolutely 100% true. But then we come on here, and I did not shove a chocolate cake in my face this week, but I would. I did.
Chugged
No.
down milk, dressed up. First couple episodes, he was trans for like
That's
I don't
true.
know, a month.
And again, orangutan is technically smarter than Sam. He did an IQ
Yeah, he
test
was
on the
low
podcast, and the orangutan had a higher IQ than Sam. Just
This is
that's
not
the
true.
lore of that. That is true. No, it's true. We have it on film.
That's the
Yeah,
lore.
you're gonna believe the WAP. That's
Yeah.
You can go back and watch the episode. You lost to an orangutan. It's fine. Anyway, Josh, please tell everyone where they can find your books, find you on social media, and all that great stuff. So we can wrap up.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on, guys. I'm on Twitter, still Neal. That's the handle that's in my name. I have a Substack, jneal.substack.com. It's been dormant the last few months, mostly because I'm doing a lot of appearances like this. But I do have some essays I'm working on. One on Howard, not Howard Lutnick. I can't remember the guy's name. He's a Jewish historian. He wrote he wrote the Grand Strategy of the Byzantine Empire. He's wrote a bunch of books. You can find my first 2 books at imperiumpress.org, American Extremist and Understanding Conspiracy Theories. Edward Lutwyck was the guy's name. Sorry. I've got an essay on Edward Lutwyck specifically. His Why Fascism is the Wave of the Future. He wrote that a few decades ago, and I think it's sort of relevant now. And then my most recent book, Intolerant Interpretations, is available at antelopehillpublishing.com. So yeah, if you thought I contributed anything worthwhile, consider buying a copy of my book. If you bought the book, consider leaving a review. I take recommendations on my blog. So if you give me a good idea and you're a paying customer, I more than likely will try to work something on it. So thank you so much, folks.
Sick. Go follow Josh, boys, in the comments.
Yeah.
Follow me on Twitter at Adam Nutter. Thank you.
Follow me at Keep It Real Luke on Twitter.
Thank you.
Not too much.
Yeah, I just want to say we like to goof around and have a lot of fun here. And the 15 minutes we got big brain. We had Josh on and got really big brain talking about big brain stuff. And I find it incredibly interesting.
Same.
But thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
I'm
dude,
at
it was
Real
awesome.
Typo. You can find me on Twitter.
Follow me on my